And let's speak to farmer Roger Payne, who's with us on the line now. And Roger, I mean, you're a farmer, just explain, from Wales, aren't
Yes.
you? And you farm sheep?
Yes, we've got a typical hill farm, sheep and cattle, and we're in Snowdonia actually.
Wow.
So we've
that's an
got the
amazing
beautiful
place.
backdrop of the mountains and the Irish Sea in front of us. But that's just the buy.
Well, it's a lovely place to work. And
Yeah.
I mean, tell me a little bit about some ideas that you've had then about using the wool in a different way.
Yeah. Well, basically, 9 years ago, wool had no value whatsoever. People, my neighbours, friends and so on, couldn't even get rid of it. You can't burn wool. You can just sort of leave it in a field and let it compost, and that's the best thing you can do. So my wife said to me, well, we've got to diversify yet again because we've only got a small farm. So what this was a 10-minute journey to a friend's house, and she said, what should we do now? I said, I don't know. It'll have to be something in wool, won't it? She said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. Let's reinvent the blanket. She said, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know. Let's stuff wool in a duvet. She said, what are you talking about? You can't stuff wool in a duvet. I said, well, you might be able to. And so she said, well, okay, supposing you can. We'll never sell it because it sounds heavy, old-fashioned and itchy. So we'll have to call it something else. So I said, okay, then, you're the clever one. What are we going to call it? She said, we'll call it a Baavet.
Well, it's obvious, really,
there lies
isn't it?
Well, yes, not to me, but anyway, it certainly proved to be a very good brand, the Baavet.
So what's in duvets at the moment, then?
Well, of course, we've either got polyester, feather or down. And, of course, the bedding industry will try and tell us that if you spend hundreds of pounds on a down duvet, it's going to be far superior to polyester, which is a load of rubbish, because, in fact, they are all the same. They all make us too hot in bed. And that is the reason we're having, sorry, not the reason, but the main reason people have disturbed sleep, apart from your snoring partner, is you get too hot in bed. And I'm sure all your listeners will know that sometime during the night that you have to have your arm out or your leg out, or even if it's really too hot, throw the whole duvet off.
But wool, I mean, wool sounds quite warm as well.
It does,
we
doesn't
wear
it?
woolly jumpers to keep warm, don't we?
I know. And doesn't the sheep have to have a woolly jumper? Well, actually, no. It's not to keep it warm. This is the secret of wool. It's quite magical. And I've only discovered this over the last 8 or 9 years. When we started, I just was going to sell a natural product, and we've discovered the more amazing things about wool as we've gone along. So it's all to do with the structure of wool. It's the only fibre on the planet that will actually regulate temperature, and the structure is such that there are lots of little tiny scales or hooks down every fibre of wool, and these react to temperature and moisture. And the best analogy is a pine cone, and everybody knows what a pine cone is, and most people realise that it's moisture and temperature that makes a pine cone open and close, even when it's left the tree. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So that's what these little follicles do, these little cuticles on every fibre of wool, but 1,000,000 times faster. So the minute you touch wool, it has got to react to your temperature, and even to 2 different temperatures in the same bed.
So have you started manufacturing these Baavets?
Well, yeah, naming the thing was the easy part, and what happened next was that everybody thought it was a brilliant idea, and I thought I'd reinvented the wheel, because surely nobody's ever made a Baavet. Nobody's ever made a wool duvet, let alone a Baavet. And it was only when my son, who's a real internet geek, and quickly, I mean, you don't Google something that doesn't exist, do you? But he did. And he said, sorry, Dad, they make them in New Zealand. So that was a bit of a downer for me. But then, of course, it meant we could make them because somebody already made them.
So you've gone on and you've made them, and how are they selling?
Exceptionally well, which is very lucky for me because otherwise I think we'd be bankrupt now. And as I say, it was the magic of wool. It's not just it's regulating the temperature. It also, there are no bacteria in wool. I'm going to say that again slowly. There's no bacteria in wool. I said it quickly.
Because of the natural
No,
the oils and things.
No, it's actually scientifically, basically, wool is negatively charged and bacteria are positively charged. They just can't attach themselves to wool, and as a result, there are no bacterial spores, which you get a lot in normal bedding, which it affects people with rhinitis and asthma. And then finally, there are no dust mites in wool. They hate it. And we use a very expensive cotton on the outside of the wool duvet. It's carded wool inside. And so what you've got is a product that regulates your temperature, wicks away your moisture, no bacteria, no dust mites, exceptionally clean. So you don't really need to wash them. You only need to air them.
And it's a great British innovation, although they did do it in New Zealand. But well, we'd never known it here before, and those continental quilts and those things.
That's it, yeah.
So, well, we wish you well with it, Roger. And is there a website to go to?
Yes, but you can just type in Baavet, and it'll automatically tell you it's a new word in the British language, and it'll take you to our website, which is baavet.co.uk.
Baavet.
Correct. Absolutely.
Roger Payne, thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.